And shalom, shalom. All praises, glory, and honor be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, or the true leaders of all Israel on earth today. Salutations to the Akim, my fellow laborers, to the confusion of face Akim that are joined unto our ranks, doing this work in truth and sincerity, hazarding their lives to do so. To the hopeful elect and the Akwathium that are listening and learning, to you I say shalom. This lesson is going to be a lesson as a response to a confusion of faith, the brother from GMS Great Waters. All right, and it says it's 2018. Get out of the melanin doctrine and grow in the spirit. And the brother is absolutely 100% correct on that. As I'm going to attempt to lamb back off some of the things that he said, to just prove a point, you know, to help wake up some of you who may be of the hopeful elect, because there's a lot of people out there running around saying that they're Israel and they're clearly of the 2/3. This is not for them anyway, especially you ones who can't get past the color thing. All right, the Israelites were scattered to all nations. And wherever the seed line exists, you know, still remains of that male mixed among those heathens, that line is still an Israelite. Thus saith the Bible. All right. You can't get around Numbers 1 and 18. It clearly tells you that nationality heritage is determined by the house of thy fathers. Go read the scriptures. Go read the scripture Numbers 1 and 18. Okay. There's plenty of accounts of Israelite men who had that. Hey, look, King David's grandmother was a Moabite. So are you going to say that King David was a heathen? The 12 tribes of Israel came out of 4 different women that were not Israelites. Were they mixed or were they Israelites because they were Jacob's seed? You people are simple and stupid.
It's true.
Let's play this.
All right, shalom. First and foremost, always, all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my apostles of Great Millstone, taught me this truth. Okay? And I want to give a sincere shalom to the elect out there who teach this truth. Sincerity. Now, had some stuff on my mind. You know, it's hard to believe that it's 2018, about halfway through 2018, and you still got guys that are stuck in this melanated doctrine, man, that don't understand that there's going to be confusion of faces and that Israel is going to look like every nation on the earth, like the sands of the sea. Okay? In fact, before I even get this scripture, I'm going to get that scripture real quick. Hosea 1 and 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. Okay? And when you look at the sands of the sea, there's lots of different colors of sand. Okay, there's brown sand, there's dark brown sand, there's light brown sand, there's whitish sand, there's red sand. You know, all different kinds of color in the color spectrum. Okay, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living power. Okay.
And the sad thing is that some of the people that are saying we're not the people are our own people. It's one thing for the Edomites to say it. Okay? So let's click. And let me click over and find a couple videos that I pulled up. Oh, there it is.
We're here with Gail Lukasik, who recently discovered she has a whole new family after uncovering her mother's secret. Her mother was living as a white woman, but was mixed race.
Now, mind you, this is not an uncommon occurrence in America. All right. My mother was also from a family as such. My mother had people in her family that could pass for white. And they lived their lives as white and cut themselves off from the melanated people in their family. All right? Because back in the 40s and the 50s, you know, the older people in her family, they could live in certain neighborhoods. They could get jobs. They wouldn't be treated a certain way. Life was easier for them in Babylon if they just pretended that they were white. So they lived their lives as such, knowing that they had black forefathers, and I imagine so-called black, and that they at any moment that melanin could pop out, or those negroid facial features, or color or hair texture could pop up at any moment, even 2 or 3 generations later. It still happens.
Joining us now, Gail's half uncle, Azimar Frederick, and her half-cousin, Stephanie Frederick. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
So at the crux of the book is Gail's search for information about her mom's dad, Azimar. And she has great difficulty finding a photo of him, figuring out because your mom's mom was in your life and she looked white.
Yes.
But your mom's dad was not really in your life and you didn't know much about him.
No.
Well, you are that man's son. Your granddad was Azimar. You're Azimar.
Right.
He had a second family after the family he started with Gail's mom, and there were 5 kids. You're one of them, and Stephanie, you're Azimar's daughter.
Correct.
Okay.
That's very good.
That took a lot of homework.
Okay, so it's not that difficult. I followed it and I got it. This guy on the couch here, this chubby guy, his father was this woman's, if you're following the arrow, father. Okay? What's her mother's father? Salakia. This guy's father was her mother's father. And this woman is this guy's daughter. Okay? So her mother lived her life as an Edomite. Okay? Now her children are Edomites. See, that's the mistake that she's making. She's not half black anything. Her father is an Edomite. Okay? You are the house of your father, thus saith the Bible. This guy is Jacob. This woman is Jacob. Why? Because this woman's grandfather was Jacob. All right? And he is also the father of this man, and he is the father of this woman. Numbers 1:18. All right? Your nationality is determined by the house of your fathers. All right? Because if you're listening to this stupid broad right here, you'd be all kind of confused. This Megan bitch. This chick is stupid.
Good.
That took a lot of homework. A lot of homework. All right, so Azimar, let me ask you about your dad and what did you believe in terms of his race and your race?
We lived in a mostly Italian neighborhood. There was one Asian man, and it was our family. We didn't know the difference.
Was your dad? Did you think he was black, or how did he appear to you?
I just knew him as Dad.
Dad. So race wasn't even an issue. Now, one of the most bizarre things of this whole story is that as Gail's writing this book about her mom, right, white like her, Stephanie is working on a documentary called
Light Girls.
about fair-skinned.
About colorism in America, how light skin is preferred over dark skin. And one of the things we explored in this documentary was racial passing.
And she's got a point. She's got a strong point. Light-skinned Negroes do get favorable treatment, all right, over darker Negroes. And that's all going back to Willie Lynchism. Willie Lynch brought that from the islands here to the Americas to help create that separation, and that's also helped fulfill the curses that was laid upon Jacob, because that same concept is used among the so-called Latin and native tribes as well. All right, the same construct of control. They have the same issues among the Northern Kingdom with that whole light and dark skin thing. Lighter complected so-called Latinos and natives get more favor than the darker complected ones, and there are some dark, and there are some Latinos and so-called natives that are just as dark as Negroes. All right, and they were very dark before these Edomites came over here and raped them and forced them into slavery and lightened them up. They were copper colored, copper like a penny. A Negro is also copper like a penny in a lot of cases. Okay, they were very similar in many, many ways in the beginning. All right.
And I knew I had it in our background. I knew it was in my family. My dad's family, love them, but they held a lot of secrets. And so we really didn't know, people ask you all the time, well, what are you guys?
What are you? Right.
When you look at the family, you see their picture over there, we didn't know. And quite frankly, we're young. We didn't care.
Yeah, you're
like
not
Dad
thinking
said,
about that.
this is Dad. Love them. And
The unfortunate thing about our society is that it makes you know, right?
Exactly.
That's why your mom made the choice she did. And one of the takeaways of this book is that race is a social construct.
That was my takeaway.
Explain.
And race is a social construct. And it's a construct by the so-called white man. All right. You got to remember, in 1681, they invented whiteness. All right. And what came along after that? Darwinism. And then they mixed those constructs in with the Bible. And that's why people are so confused about the scriptures. They brought their newly created pseudoscience of race according to color into the world. All right. And through that, they falsify and lie and made, when it's talk about whiteness in the Bible, which meant purity and nothing more. All right. In most cases, and made it skin color when they're not even really white. They're really translucent. They're red. Their blood shows forth through their skin. All right. They're pale people whose blood shows forth through their skin. And some of them look really red and some of them look more pale. But when they get sick, they get wounded, or they get embarrassed, then you see that redness as it shines forth through their skin. All right. That's what it's talking about. Okay. And then these women, they're void of knowledge because they have no understanding. The only true understanding is with the Bible. This is Job 39:17. This is because God have deprived her of wisdom, neither have he imparted her with understanding. So, the Lord didn't give women wisdom like that when it comes to these such matters, man. All right. Women are emotional creatures, and I would say 95 to 99% of them make decisions based upon emotion. All right, based upon emotion, man. How they feel about something. All right, and they'll tell you, well, it's what I feel in my heart, touching that heart. When you're talking about the heart in the Bible, it's referring to your mind. Okay, it's referring to your mind.
Right, here's the best way for me to explain it. I give a lot of presentations, and people say to me, well, how do you identify now that you know of your background? And I say, I identify as I'm a white woman with a mixed race heritage because I was socialized as a white woman. I grew up in a white neighborhood, and that's what I know. And that's my upbringing. So that's a social construct in my mind.
When you first saw, so a friend of yours saw Gail on Genealogy Roadshow, and did they know that she might have a connection to you? Did they see the whole thing? Or how did you first say, I'm going to send Gail an email?
Well, our Light Girls documentary had just aired on OWN, and my friend calls, and I'm thinking she's calling to say, hey, Steph, great doc, right? And instead, she kind of carefully leads me down the road talking about her family and always wanting to know her family history. She goes, by the way, there was this woman on television last night. I was just flipping through channels, and she mentioned your father's name, and she's looking for her family in New Orleans. And she said, Stephanie, she's a white woman. And I said, well, that's possible. And I thought, what the heck has Dad done? I said, I am going to have to, buffer this for my mother, who was really sick at the time. And so I said, let me get in front of this. And so I hurriedly tried to find the documentary. and watch it, the story, and watch it. And I watched it and I said, yeah, she's family. I saw the picture of her mother and I'm like, she looks just like my father's family. Well, of course, that we share the same. They share the same grandfather.
And Gail had revelations in her own life too, or her daughter looked more like
you can see the facial features in that woman. She does look like that man, and this woman does kind of look like her mother. She's got those eyes. You know, I have a client who's a brunette, who was married to a Judite, and her little girl is pale flesh with blonde hair, just like this woman, with green eyes. Okay? You would never know that little girl's father is a so-called Negro, a dark brown Negro, just by looking at her. You would assume that the girl's stepfather is actually her father. Okay? But her father is actually the so-called black guy. Okay? The girl and the little girl looks just like her mom. So this sort of thing happens all the time. It's been happening all the time, and it happened with Israel.
Son was more olive complexion.
Yes.
And your husband.
Now, there we go with that olive shit. Look. That's another construct of white superiority and the lie. They try to pass off olive complexion on to the Lord and the people of the so-called Middle East. Let's look. These are olives right here. Olives are green and olives are black. Okay? So I've never seen a green person, man. Okay? Never. Let me just skip past that ad. And let's go right there.
Generally regarded as
So I've never seen a green person. Because olives come in two colors. Green and this color. All right? So olive complexion is talking about someone who's dark, man. All right, let's go to the scriptures. This is the book of Acts. All right? And before I go into the book of Acts, I'm going to read the definition of Hellenist out of the Zondervan Dictionary Bible. This is what took me to Acts. All right? It says, Hellenists, Jews who made Greek their tongue and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices. And then it gave you the scripture, Acts 6:1 and Acts 9:29. But what does the so-called white man do? Esau, Edom. All right? This was all a part of that whole white superiority. You know, when they came up with the Negroid, Caucasoid, and Mongoloid, and attached that to Ham, Shem, and Japheth. That's exactly what they did and created all this confusion. All right, because the Israelites, when you go to First Maccabees, the first chapter. Matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, let's go to Maccabees first. It gives you the account in First Maccabees, starting around the 38th verse, when the Israelites, by some of their wicked leaders, led their people to live their lives according to the Greek customs and abandon the ways of the Torah, of the Bible, to abandon the laws of that Moses brought down from the Most High and live according to the heathen way, and they intermixed and mingled with the heathen, thus creating the same type of scenario that we were just watching on the two on the Brother Sit Down on the television show with that dumb Megan chick. All right, so I'm gonna just read First Maccabees 1:48, and it says. Actually, I'm going to start at 42. Not 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. Right? That's your democracy. That's Esau. He always wants to bring everyone together, but with him on top. All right? It can't be no even shit. We're going to be one people, but I'm going to be in control. That's why he creates all these lies. Keep himself in power. All right? And everyone should leave his laws. And so all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king. Because there were many heathen in the Grecian kingdom at this point. All right. Because some of the real Grecians were still there, conquered. The brown-skinned Etruscans and brown-skinned sons of Japhet. All right. Yeah, many of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificing to the idols and profaned the Sabbath. All right. I'm going to jump to 46. And it says, and pollute the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, sacrifice swine flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. So as generations go on, these children, even though they were bloodline Israelites, had no idea that they were. Because why? For the next generations, all the way up into the birth of Christ, so-called Christ. If I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was about 300 or 400 years. All right. So how long could they, if living their lives that way? That's why the Lord said, go ye unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because the disciples weren't discerned yet to be able to tell which of their people was their people according to the Spirit. All right. Which is clear that that's the same issue that the brother was talking about from GMS Great Waters, because a lot of you guys aren't having grown spiritually. So you can't discern through the Spirit who's your people and who's not. And then they definitely don't like to talk about it the other way around. All right. When you got dark skin, but your daddy's an Edomite or a heathen. If you got dark skin with some of these Israelite groups, then you good to go. So it's not about color, man. It's about the seed of man. All right. That's what the confusion of face is. You just witnessed it on the screen. But this is Acts. Let me read that definition again. Hellenists. And it says, Jews who made Greek their tongue and often adopted Greek ideas and practices. Acts 6:1 and Acts 9:29. So let's read it. Acts 6:1. And in those days, when the number of disciples was multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Grecians against the Hebrews, because their widows were neglected in the daily ministration. So what that meant is that the confusion of face and or the ones who were no longer speaking Hebrew anymore were having issues with the ones who were speaking Hebrew, because the ones who were speaking Hebrew were treating them some kind of way because they were living their lives as heathens. That's exactly what they're saying. That's what the murmuring was, because it's like, hold on, we're Israelites too, but you have a couple tattoos or your skin is lighter. You got a different complexion of hair, but yet you can trace your fathers back to Israel. And the ones who have been keeping it all along, the ones who had records that they were Israelites, were treating them weird, man. Same way as today. How these guys don't want to acknowledge someone who has pale flesh like an Edomite, that they're an Israelite, or someone that looks like a Korean or something. All right, our people are among all people, man. Okay, I never forget that video when that Korean dude went up to Zabak's camp and Zabak dismissed him. Why? Because of the melanin doctrine. But if you were spiritual, you could clearly see that Korean dude, that dude was a Jake. He was an Israelite, man. He just was cursed to be in that Moabite looking flesh. He was clearly one of those scattered Israelites. All right. This is Acts 9:29. And there's another reason why they put the word Grecian there instead of Hellenist, because Hellenists, the Esau did that on purpose. He could have easily just put, let me read it again. Acts 6:1. And in those days, when the number of the disciples were multiplied, there arose a murmuring of the Hellenists against the Hebrews. Let's read the definition of Hellenists. Hellenists, Jews who made Greek their tongue and with often adopted Greek ideas and practices. Now, if they just would have put Hellenists there, it would have made it too plain, too simple. But, and the Lord didn't want everyone to get this. That's why, so flip side of the coin about you people who stuck on the melanin thing, the Lord don't want you to get it anyway. But for the rest of you, you got to get past that. This is Acts 9:29. And he spoke boldly in the name of Yahushai, of Lord Yahushai, and disputed against the Grecians, but they went out about to slay him. So let's change that now. And he spoke boldly in the name of the Lord Yahushua and disputed against the Hellenists. But they went out to slay him. Let's read Hellenists again. And it reads, Hellenists, Jews who made Greek their tongue, and with it often adopted Greek ideas and practices. So the Lord was reaching out to the scattered and the lost children. And he ordained Paul with that job. That's Paul was, those Gentiles were the Hellenists that Paul was going to seek to bring them back into the fold. With that, I hope this was an edifying lesson. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai and a Baba Ball.